We have here exclusively Justin Baldoni speaking to what he called his dream team, those who had been helping him edit the films and get it to finality, lamenting the fact that he was put in the basement on the premiere of his own movie, he says, per Blake's demands. Take a listen to that voice text in part.
Think about this on what, could have been one of the most beautiful nights of my life career-wise. I literally was sent to the basement with all my friends and family for over an hour because I wasn't allowed to be seen. She didn't want me anywhere near her or the rest of the cast. So they ushered me off the carpet and they sent us down to the basement. We were down there together, my friends and family, the people that love me the most, and we start laughing because of the ridiculousness of this whole thing. And I realized, on a night that was supposed to be so materialistically joyful, and I believe that will follow each of us, and that truth will prevail, and that light and love will win.
Guys, Justin Baldoni may be silent, but his attorney is done playing nice. Enough is enough. And now Blake Lively is getting hit with one hell of a lawsuit that has got the whole internet losing its mind. But as you can guess, Blake isn't just standing there arms folded taking the hit. She is swinging back hard, even though this entire mess is seriously exposing her and not in a good way. Oh, and wait till you hear why Blake filed this case in the first place, and yet she never intended to go to trial. There are so many jaw-dropping twists here, I can't even. So stick around because y'all are not ready for what's coming next. Y'all, there is a lot to unpack here, so grab your popcorn and let's get right into it.
I was in the basement with the people that I love the most, and we were all joyful and laughing because none of that shit matters. None of it. That's not why we're in the business. That's not why the three of us are in this business, is to attend a premiere like that and be celebrated. We're in this business because we're artists and we believe in what we do, and because we want to create art that touches people's hearts and souls and can move people. And that's what we did. That's what you both did. And I believe that will follow each of us, and that truth will prevail, and that light and love will win.
First of all, can we all just agree that we need to sue Blake Lively and she owes us an apology for the emotional roller coaster that she's putting us through? Seriously, how are you gonna sue Justin Baldoni for the emotional blackmail when you're out here causing mass emotional distress yourself? Make it make sense. Anyways, here's where things get juicy. Justin's lawyer finally decided to speak up, and turns out those damning text messages Blake shared to expose Justin were not fabricated, but she only chose the ones that would corroborate her story. Well, we now have the full conversations between Blake and Justin, and once we're done here, you be the judge.
There are evidence for all these points. There are text messages for all these points. And unlike any case that I've handled in my entire career, it's the one case we're going to put every single text message, every single document, everything on a website for everyone in the public to read, come to their own conclusions, and they can determine whether or not there was harassment here, there was a smear campaign, or there was retaliation, because we have proof and receipts that absolutely and unequivocally show this is not true.
Honestly, it would be a shocker if Justin didn't sue Blake, because remember, going by this flow, we're about to witness yet another bombshell from Justin. Remember recently he dropped a 90-page lawsuit against the New York Times for damages for libel, false light invasion of privacy, promissory fraud, and breach of implied in-fact contract. And loves, he brought all the receipts. Full conversations between Blake and Justin are out now, and like I said, it's not looking good for her. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. Once again, Ryan Reynolds and his PR firm tried to jump in and clean things up for Blake, but the irony is that instead of helping, they ended up exposing Ryan's unnecessary involvement in this whole circus. Why is he even there? But before we get too deep, let's rewind a little, because trust me, this saga is like a 10-part Netflix series, and we need to set the scene properly. As most, if not all of you already know, the drama kicked off on New Year's Eve when the news broke that Justin Baldoni was suing the New York Times over their article covering Blake Lively's complaint. But Blake wasn't about to let that slide, and the same day she filed her own lawsuit demanding cold, hard cash. Yep, Blake is suing Justin Baldoni along with Melissa Nathan, Jennifer Abel, and Wayfair Studios, the company behind It Ends With Us. Blake is coming for them over claims of mental pain and anguish, severe emotional distress, and even lost wages. Oh, and in case you were wondering, this isn't some low-key filing, it's a full-blown federal court case in New York. Like, Blake woke up and chose war that day. This was a new development because just days before this, she had filed another case against Justin, but wasn't intending to go to trial, and we now know why. Well, for starters, lawyers have explained that this is called a nuisance lawsuit, which is when someone serves a lawsuit but doesn't intend to take it to court. In a statement to TMZ, attorneys for Blake Lively said earlier today, Miss Lively filed a federal complaint against Wayfarer Studios and others in the Southern District of New York. Miss Lively previously sent her California Civil Rights Department complaint in response to the retaliatory campaign Wayfair launched against her for reporting harassment and workplace concerns. Unfortunately, Miss Lively's decision to speak out has resulted in further retaliation and attacks, as alleged in Miss Lively's federal complaint. Wayfair and its associates have violated federal and California state law by retaliating against her for reporting harassment and workplace concerns. Now the defendants will answer for their conduct in federal court. Miss Lively has brought this litigation in New York, where much of the relevant activities described in the complaint took place, but we reserve the right to pursue further action in other venues and jurisdictions as appropriate under the law. They added, Lively chose not to file a legal lawsuit against Baldoni, Wayfarer, or any of the plaintiffs, a choice that spared her from the scrutiny of the discovery process, including answering questions under oath and producing her communications. This decision was no accident. First, her administrative complaint is riddled with blatant falsehoods and egregious misrepresentations that would have subjected her to dismissal, if not sanctions. Second, pursuing formal legal action would have derailed her true objective, an orchestrated campaign to rehabilitate her public image. Instead, Lively filed a request for a right to sue letter with the California Civil Rights Department, CRD, a procedural formality that does not require pleadings, remains confidential unless leaked, as it was here, and crucially does not subject the complaint to discovery. While such a letter can precede a lawsuit, it is clear that litigation was never her ultimate goal. Her real intention was to weaponize the appearance of legitimacy conferred by a numbered legal document to launch salacious, headline-grabbing allegations and reshape her public persona at the expense of the plaintiffs. Lively found willing allies at the New York Times, which uncritically embraced her CRD complaint as fact and disregarded the plaintiffs' emphatic objections, even rushing to publish its inflammatory article without waiting for the response deadline of noon Eastern Time on December 21st, 2024. The Times published the article at 10:11 a.m., nearly 2 hours early, in a brazen disregard for journalistic integrity and fairness. This resulted in an article rife with inaccuracies, misrepresentations, and omissions. All this to say, Baldoni's defense team argues that Blake never intended to turn this into a lawsuit. She simply wanted a way to tell her side of the story without the legal implications. However, they have evidence showing that she manipulated the facts to her advantage, including editing messages between her and Baldoni. Alright, moving on. Justin's team showed some of these so-called altered messages as proof that they weren't trying to bury Blake's reputation. They literally showed group chats for context. Like, this is one where Justin, out of concern, wrote, "How can we say somehow that we are not doing any of this? It looks like we are trying to take her down," to which Miss Nathan responds saying it doesn't. They are doing all of this themselves, and it's really obvious. They also shared another screenshot of Justin saying, "The thing I'm more worried about is that we are planting these stories," which is not true, obviously. Remember, guys, if you've gone through Blake's initial complaint, she had tons of screenshots, the ones New York Times published stating that on August 16th, Miss Nathan shared the Daily Mail article headlined as, "Is Blake Lively set to be canceled?" with reference to hard-to-watch videos and a tone-deaf promotional Q&A. "Wow, you really outdid yourself with this piece," Miss Abel responded. "That's why you hired me, right?" Miss Nathan replied, "I'm the best." This was the exact screenshot on Blake's lawsuit that she used to prove they were plotting against her. But now everyone can see that they were addressing a whole other situation, which only means Blake took it out of context, and the New York Times didn't do their due diligence before publishing. Justin's team waited on the mix-up on this by saying, "The article is predicated on Lively's CRD complaint, which references text exchanges between Nathan and Abel as supposed evidence that Nathan planted a negative story in the Daily Mail titled, 'Is Blake Lively set to be canceled?' Lively's portrayal is categorically false, misleading, and without factual basis, yet knowingly endorsed by the Times, which claimed to have reviewed thousands of pages of text messages and emails. The smear campaign allegation hinges on an August 16th text exchange in which Nathan allegedly shared a link to the article with Abel. The exchange shows Abel responding, "Wow," followed by, "You really outdid yourself with this one," to which Nathan allegedly replied, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." These messages constitute the entirety of the supposed evidence underlying the allegation of a smear campaign orchestrated on behalf of Baldoni. Guys, this drama is so wild. We could spend all day dissecting every little detail. But let's skip to the real fireworks now that Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, has practically handed us the deets on a silver platter.
Unlike any case that I've handled in my entire career, it's the one case we're going to put every single text message, every single document, everything on a website for everyone in the public to read, come to their own conclusions.
So Brian recently sat down with media personality Megyn Kelly to break it all down for us because, let's be honest, these lawsuits and counter lawsuits have been all over the place. We can barely keep up. And y'all, when I say this interview was jaw-dropping, I'm not even exaggerating. Brian didn't just come prepared, he came with receipts, including audio messages from Justin himself on multiple occasions. But the part that left everyone gasping for air was when Justin claimed that on the day It Ends With Us premiered, he, his friends, and his family were locked in a basement for over an hour because Blake said she didn't want to see him anywhere near her movie.
On what, could have been one of the most beautiful nights of my life career-wise, I literally was sent to the basement with all my friends and family for over an hour because I wasn't allowed to be seen. She didn't want me anywhere near her or the rest of the cast. So they ushered me off the carpet and they sent us down to the basement. We were down there together, my friends and family, the people that love me the most, and we start laughing because of the ridiculousness of this whole thing.
It has all come full circle, y'all. Remember when the It Ends With Us film launch was happening and the rumors were flying left and right that the cast and crew practically staged a rebellion against Justin Baldoni? People were unfollowing him like a canceled influencer and bad blood was written all over the place. Baldoni was out there doing interviews and promo solo while the rest of the team rolled up like a united front. It was super awkward. Well, now we know it was even worse than we thought. Things were so toxic that people literally had to be locked in basements. But here's yet another twist. Some people actually think Blake's actions are kind of justified, especially after Blake sued Baldoni for SA and a smear campaign, so maybe this was her way of fighting back. But Brian Friedman is having none of it, so here's what he has to say.
They say so good. Who could blame her for wanting him in the basement? What say you?
Let's break down what the sexual harassment is. I mean, we've just, been through the Me Too movement. We've heard all sorts of serious allegations of sexual harassment that are really meaningful to victims and really important and whatnot. Blake Lively, if she was sexually harassed to such a degree in this film and in this situation, she wouldn't have returned to the film. And they had sat down and they had talked about what her complaints were. The unfortunate thing is she actually didn't read the book and didn't understand what the book was about.
Blake not reading the book has been the talk for the longest time. Like, remember that cringe moment when she straight up admitted she didn't even know who Colleen Hoover was, and people were wondering how she could star in a movie without knowing the author behind it? For those of you who have actually read It Ends With Us, you already know it's packed with some super dark scenes that even the movie struggled to handle. But the whole vibe on set was apparently a mess because Blake hadn't even read the novel, which caused a lot of creative differences.
And if you get down to the specific allegations, I mean, what this film was about domestic violence. This film was about scenes that involve, rough behavior and domestic violence and serious issues like that. And at every turn, to the extent that Justin, anybody felt uncomfortable in any way on the film, Justin took responsibility for it.
Friedman also confirmed that infamous meeting where Blake demanded a meeting to have some changes made to make her feel comfortable on set.
They met at Ryan Reynolds' house in New York. They went over a 17-point list of things. They had come to an agreement, although Justin and Jamie did not agree that these things that were, spoken about were warranted at all, they said, well, of course we won't come into your trailer when, if you don't want us to. Of course we won't do these things. And they're really simple concepts and simple things. And even in their own complaint, they admit that ever since they met in January, that everything ran smoothly for the rest of the set.
Not only that, loves, turns out that Blake never read the book to understand certain contexts wasn't the only challenge. She had also accused Baldoni of body shaming, claiming that he had asked her about her weight, to which Baldoni defended himself, saying he needed this information because of his strained back, so he had to train accordingly. Something which the crew confirmed because his trainer was even on set. Body shaming aside, Blake then jumped to inappropriate behavior where she claimed he barged into her trailer while she was pumping breast milk and made comments about her appearance. Sounds intense, right? Well, on the flip side, Justin's receipts paint a very different picture. One of the texts he included shows Blake inviting him to her trailer to rehearse lines while she was pumping. The contradictions are wild. Anyways, let's get back to Friedman.
And as a result of that, the complaints are things like he had gone into her trailer when she was breastfeeding, to which there are text messages that address that. There were complaints that Jamie Heath, Justin's partner, had shown pornography. If you look at the actual complaint that they filed, it says that that's pornography. What Jamie Heath showed her was a still video of a home birth because they were discussing a scene about birthing. And that's not pornography.
During this interview, Megyn Kelly also asked Friedman about the wild accusations Blake made in her complaint, where she claimed there was a whole two-part plan in motion. First, to hide Justin Baldoni's alleged harassment and other misconduct, along with that of his partner Heath and their company Wayfarer Studios. And second, Megyn needed Friedman's input on the accusation that Justin intended to drag Blake through the mud with a full-blown smear campaign, which damaged her image, wrecked her business, and emotionally destroyed her family. But Megyn, being Megyn, separated the accusations for clarity. She pointed out that concealing alleged misconduct might not even be illegal. Like, sure, nobody wants bad PR for a film when it's about to hit theaters, but the real legal drama was the retaliation part. Blake saying that because she raised those serious harassment complaints, they came for her with everything they had. Friedman had an interesting answer for this one.
There was actually no allegation of sexual harassment until the lawsuit was filed. I mean, that's when the allegations of sexual harassment came up.
So basically, Blake never mentioned all these throughout the project during its launch until months after, when her business was struggling and she was facing the aftermath of bad press, that she decided to bring everything up. That's according to Baldoni's legal team.
PR brought in. Crisis PR was brought in because there were negative stories about Justin that were being leaked to the media, not about sexual harassment. There were negative stories about Justin being brought in saying no one likes him. He's been a problem on set. Stories like that. And Crisis PR was brought in to say, this won't be good for the film. Crisis PR was also brought in because there were negative stories about Blake Lively, not that Justin created, but that existed out there. I mean, fans and media can be brutal. They go back through your history. They go back and look and say, what interviews have you given before? How have you treated people? How, are you promoting the film in a way where you're promoting your hair care products?
Oh, Blake will never hear the end of this one. Like, who in their right mind thought it was a good idea to drop a hairline product right when she was supposed to be hyping It Ends With Us? Whoever gave her that advice clearly hates her. And don't even get me started on her telling women to wear those florals and hit the theaters like this was some cheesy rom-com. Everything else aside, Blake's rep took a major beating after this project wrapped, and now Baldoni's team are coming in hard saying she's just making stuff up because she's down bad.
In fact, what he wants is a successful movie. He wants to protect the movie, and all through the text messages, you'll see over and over and over again, him saying, I don't want to hurt her. I want to protect her. Let's give her what she wants. Let's help her. That's what he's doing.
Whew! But it gets worse. It literally gets worse. Because according to Team Justin, Blake's accusations weren't just about speaking her truth. They are claiming this was all a part of a calculated power move to take over the film that Blake was trying to turn into a movie she didn't even direct into her personal project, which is exactly what Justin is saying happened. He claims Blake gained control over everything, the soundtrack, the wardrobe, the editing, everything. And the craziest part is that she allegedly forced the studio to release her cut of the film, even though Justin's version tested better with the audience. And just when Blake thought that things had swayed to her favor, this video starts going viral.
I just want to be clear that you should not be the intimacy coordinator. You should definitely hire intimacy coordinators, which we did have. Well, thank goodness.
You were teaching Justin how to pull you in.
Where have you seen
that.
this?
That
I
clip?
actually just saw it too. It was on Instagram yesterday, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, you know, romance is really important. You're supposed to, you know, tell a story well.
So the clip you've just watched is Blake Lively legit looking fidgety as the interviewer casually mentions that she was trying to teach Justin Baldoni how to be more touchy with her on set, even though they literally had intimacy coordinators for that exact reason. This looks really bad on Blake, especially now that tables have turned after Justin countersued her. And not to mention the rumors swirling about her ill motives and repressed feelings for Justin off camera, or worse, coming for his entire career because he didn't vibe with her advances. I told y'all it's messy and super sus. To add to all of this mess, there is no way we can dissect Blake's lawsuit without mentioning Ryan Reynolds, whom at first people thought was just caught in the crossfire, but upon realizing how he intertwined himself into this film, he's receiving little mercy from fans. People are saying he brought all this on himself by getting too involved in his wife's job to the point that he clearly was overstepping. Remember when Blake jokingly said Ryan edited a scene and neither the screenwriter nor Justin the director had a clue? Plus, he joined Blake in promoting a DV movie as a rom-com, and people were so pissed that the two just couldn't read the room. Anyways, loves, the internet is shuddering over this one, with a lot of people saying nobody causes more harm to Blake Lively's reputation than Blake Lively. She treats co-stars, interviewers, and even Princess Kate like dirt. And on the other hand, the anti-Baldoni battalion, who just can't get past those leaked messages from his PR. Well, Blake swears she'll never stop speaking her truth, and Justin isn't backing down either. In fact, he's making it clear that not even being iced out of a film he co-starred in and directed could break his vibe. According to him, that's not why he's in the game. Justin says he does what he does for the love of it, and because his true purpose is to make an impact on the world by touching people through storytelling.
We're in this business because we're artists and we believe in what we do, and because we want to create art that touches people's hearts and souls and can move people.
All right, loves, that is all the updates we've got for now, but let's keep the convo going. Are you Team Blake, Team Justin, or Team Truth? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I need to know what y'all are thinking about this messy saga. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for more drama because there is always more where this came from. Until next time.